Hello, good evening, and welcome back to the Revolutionary Matters YouTube channel. I am your host, the Queen, aka Karis L. Reed. This is Brother Movement, and today's topic is going to be crimes, drugs, and violence in the Black community. Very interesting topic. So, before we go ahead and move any further, let me go ahead and have Brother Movement introduce himself.
How y'all doing? My name is Brother Mukmin Ben Lukman. I hail out of New Orleans, Lower Ninth Ward. Um, I'm just here to give some insight on, things that I've seen in our lifestyle growing up in poverty, basically.
All right. So, whew, this is a very, very important topic, and we really want to touch some sensitive information about this almost a pandemic that's going on in the community. This crimes, drugs, and the violence. And so, we're going to start off with what feeds these types of predicaments.
Um, I would say what fed mine and my brothers was the fact that we grew up in poverty. That was after my dad left. I told you that in previous shows. We were basically trying to survive, trying to get food, help my mom, being that we had such a large family of five boys and two girls. So it was, poverty, money. We was driven by money. And at least I can speak for myself, I was. And most of my friends that I grew up with, pretty much all of them are dead. They was driven by the same thing.
Okay, so this pretty much qualifies you. I should have asked this question first. So what does qualify you to talk about this type of topic?
Because, like I said previously, about 90% of my childhood friends are dead.
Okay.
The other 10% is currently incarcerated, including my identical twin brother for violence and crimes in alleged that he did in New Orleans. But so I qualified, and then from my background of doing time, 11 years in the penitentiary for something I didn't do. Like I say, no witnesses, and just lying police officers. So growing up seeing murder, growing up seeing abuse and decay and negligence.
Yeah.
I think that I'm highly qualified to talk about those areas.
Right. Definitely with all that. So how old were you when you saw your first murder?
I was at least 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
When I saw one of my best friends that lived in the same courtway with us in the Florida Project. This happened to be like around 83, 83, 82. And his father ran across the courtway. And we saw him stumbling. He ran upstairs and he died on a driveway.
Wow.
And so I saw him, and I saw another guy get stabbed to death right below. We lived on the third floor, so I can see it covered a lot, all our windows. And so I saw a guy stabbing another guy to death.
Oh,
and it was horrible.
Wow. And you were only 6 years old?
Yeah, 6 years old, and I saw it.
How did it affect you? Did you have any nightmares? Did that always,
Well, yeah, it affected me. I don't remember much, but my mom was such a wonderful person that she would talk to me in her own motherly way and try to get me to forget it. And I knew one of the tactics she used was to change the subject a lot. So when I bring something up and she felt like I was I was learning too fast, which I did, she would change the subject.
Wow.
I guess that was like putting a Band-Aid on it because,
Exactly.
a lot of us didn't grow up with social work, like people psychologists that would talk to us about some of the horrendous things that we witnessed. So we had to live with that for the rest of our life.
Right. And not only that, it was almost like for Black Americans, you was shunned down on if you was to go to a psychologist. It's like, to me, at least over here, where I grew up, it was like you had to be a certain color to go to a psychologist. Like, you Black, you strong, you just deal with it. So that's wow.
Yeah, I would like to say I've heard of that, being that, the stigma of not wanting to go to a psychologist, but I didn't know what a psychologist was when I was coming up.
It was your mom.
I thought it was my mom. That's what I was about to say. So, yeah.
Wow, wow. Okay, so now we speaking of primarily New Orleans because it's where you grew up in. You saw it, you lived it, and if I can say, you did it also
Mhm.
a little bit. You participated in crimes and
Yes.
violence. Okay, according
Yes.
to the last interviews that we had.
Mhm.
So I want to, if we can, read a snippet of an article that's coming from New Orleans. You think we can do that, or you want to
We can just elaborate on
just
it. I
elaborate?
remember it. It's
Okay.
basically an article talking about Cantrell, the mayor of New Orleans, current mayor,
Mhm.
and the um, the chief of police, and the DA trying to find ways of ways to stop the violence, the current wave of violence in New Orleans. And historically, if you go back and you study New Orleans, New Orleans have always been a violent city.
Okay.
You can go back 150 years ago,
Wow.
and so that's just a part of his MO,
Yeah.
his background. And I don't know why they saying or trying to front like New Orleans have always been a non-violent city or a safe city to visit, because it's not. And that's just a reality.
Yeah.
Anytime you have 24-hour alcoholism, drug sales, and just decay, you can actually walk up and down Bourbon Street 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, being pissed drunk and not be arrested.
Oh, wow.
So that's the type of city that I came from. And so imagine how the inner city was. If that was in the so-called best part of the city, or the part that they promote. Just think about where I was from, at the bottom, down in lower Ninth Ward, down in the Florida Project, down in in the east. How those guys are living currently today.
Wow. That's pretty much nothing you can do. No way to get out of it. Okay, so take us through the arrest cycle or the revolving door. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it wants to blame the recidivism. Politics, we call them. They tend to try to put blame on the poor person. If you notice in history, they always blame the bottom person. But but we know better. If you say you're the leader and people put you in position, then act like the leader.
Right.
Take ownership of what's going on, and stop sugarfooting on where crime originates from.
Right.
Crime did not originate in our community. Alcoholism, drugs did not originate in the Black community. There's no poppy seeds. There's no cocoa leaves where I come from. So there's no barrels and foams of marijuana being grown. Matter of fact, they're growing marijuana in our historical black universities. LSU and Southern University is growing it now.
Wow.
So and they intend to sell it. They intend to market it to our people, to anybody that's dumb enough to smoke it.
Yeah.
And use it. And now you have to start over or remain stagnated, by way of the government. They're going to tax it. They're going to get a percentage of it, and they're going to send their kids to college. Right. They're going to pay for their homes. They're going to pay for their trips off of your ignorance.
That's right.
Off of your habit, and then get on TV talking about we need more police officers or we need to revive the violent crime unit that Cantrell and the local chief is talking about. Now, what type of crime unit that you're talking about reviving? Right. You're talking about the one that put me in jail, the jump out boys, the ones that came in the neighborhood and falsely accused me of something that I didn't do, the ones that falsely wrote a report and went to court and showed up in court lying under oath, took an oath they lied on the oath and sent me away for 11 years for something I didn't do. That's the revival we talking about.
At least it's what they think it is, but in reality, it's not. It's really not.
It's BS.
Wow. Now I'm gonna go back to school for a minute. Did you all have what was called DARE when you was in elementary school?
Yeah, that didn't work. We didn't listen to that. Like I say, the DARE is the black man. The DARE is the black father in the home.
Yeah.
And we wasn't listening to no police because we didn't trust the police.
That's right.
When I grew up and coming up in the 80s, 88, when I moved down into the lower night when my dad went away, we seen police working for local drug dealers.
Oh, wow.
I remember I went to my partner's house, and it was at an area in the lower Ninth Ward when there was a lot of drugs being sold, but I didn't know his father was a police. And I had something in my hand. I was caught red-handed, and his daddy drove up. We was in the trunk putting it together, and he was 10 feet away from it with his uniform on in a mall car. Wow. And I'm like, man, it's the police. I'm getting ready to make my move.
Yeah.
And the guy looks back and he say, "Oh man, you ain't got nothing to worry about. That's my father." The father got out the car, went into the hottest drug house in the city of New Orleans at that time.
Wow.
You know, I mean, one time I seen 2 police officers, you know, walking around with their shirt out. They'll jump out on you with their shirt out. You know, they wasn't the uniform. They wasn't wearing the uniform how they was trained to wear the uniform.
Right.
All right, so they'll have their shirt out, pants sagging, and then they'll be playing. All the windows will be down in the car, in the police car, the mall car, and they'll be playing hip hop music. All right, and back then they was playing pop. All right, Tupac, and one of them, the passenger would be leaning all the way back with his feet hanging out the passenger side of the car, and the other guy be leaning back too. Now those guys got arrested for murder, and I don't know if they still in jail, but there was they kidnapped a guy and murdered him.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
and this is the undercover police, pretty much.
These was regular cops with the uniform on.
Wow!
Yeah,
wow!
I've seen them my own eyes.
With it. Wow, that's crazy. Tell us from your point of view or your opinion. Why has it always been violence in New Orleans, and why you think that it's just not gonna go nowhere?
Yeah,
it's always gonna be there.
Yeah. That's easy. If you go back and look at the origin of New Orleans and how they was partying back then, you know, how there was ill and alcohol abuse, drug abuse, prostitution. So New Orleans was, you know, founded on chaos and decay. So, you know, and right now with slavery, being an extension of slavery, and you know, the Jim Crow laws that came through after slavery, and our people being in the predicament that they was in, and not being able to lift themselves up, because of this corrupt government, corrupt local politicians in Louisiana. And I tell you my story. Growing up in New Orleans and working, when I got into the work environment and not being paid the amount of money that I was supposed to be paid. And soon as I leave and cross the border and go 7 miles away from my hometown, I'm now making far more money than I was making when I was in New Orleans. Why is that? In a short time that I've been away from New Orleans, I made more money than I made when I was in New Orleans, because the culture down there is to keep the poor people, keep the black people suppressed. And that's what it is. So you're being suppressed by drugs. You're being suppressed by just alcoholism. Mental chaos. There's a lot of gymnastics you got to go through, especially as a person that's been in prison before. You know, once you sign your name on that down the line and say, look, this is my name, this is my attribute, this is what I bring, my skills, they're going to run your name. And once they find out that you have anything on your jacket, non-violent, especially, let's not have violent, but non-violent, they're going to work to get that, you know, get you, make sure that you don't get the job. I remember I went to work as an electrician, and a white guy told me, he said, I will hire you, man. You have the experience, but the white people that I work for, they're not going to hire. They're not going to allow you to come into their home when they're not home. You see? So I was turned down because of the color of my skin. And we talking like 3-4 years ago.
Wow. We're
not talking about a Jim Crow time.
2018, 19?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So that's just an example that racism still exists.
Racism would not go away.
It would never go away.
It's entrenched in America.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's that. So the fact that New Orleans came or was birthed from the slave time, and how the suppression of slavery, they didn't probably want to. Well, no, probably too. They didn't want to free our ancestors, and it just kind of just went from generation to generation with that mindset and that mentality to keep the black people down, suppress them, and kill them with these different types of drugs.
Well, New Orleans that's just how they live down there. Right. There's no dry season. Is it just partying nonstop? That's right. If you go go online and you check out New Orleans, well, they're going to advertise. That's one of the first things they're going to advertise is Bourbon Street. What happens on Bourbon Street? They come to Bourbon Street from all over the world, and the people have heard about it. They come down and they lose their mind. They leave their religion, they leave their God, they leave their morals back at home, and they come down here and they do exactly what the commercials say. Come party, leave all your, all your worries at home, and come be a part of the carnival parade. Come be a part, let your hair down, come slide down a pole, come show your titties. I mean, this is the culture.
Wow.
While the young black kids in the inner cities are suffering. Because where I grew up in the lower Ninth Ward. The money from Bourbon Street, from the parades, never trickled down to my community. Matter of fact, none of the tourists came to my community. We was obsolete. We was the people that was on the roofs during Hurricane Katrina. No one knew we existed.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Sad. They barely want to go in that area to save people's lives.
Yeah.
Because to them it wasn't nothing. It was so sad.
That's right.
Wow. Okay, we're going to ask one more question, then we're going to go to a quick commercial break. So let me step out of New Orleans real quick. I'm going to talk about Houston, Texas. Just one question about what you think of. So do you think Houston's crimes, drugs, and violence is done because of, why do you think it's done? What is your opinion? Because in reality, New Orleans is a very different environment from Houston, Texas. It's much smaller. Houston is so much bigger with opportunity. So why do you think the violence and crime is here?
I really don't know, because the opportunity for jobs are here. If people want to work, they can work. The economy is strong. It's way strong, and as big as 40 million people in Texas, as opposed to Louisiana only have 3 million. So, and I really don't know how to answer that question, but I would say having the amount of traffic that's coming from South America, that's coming from the Hispanic community, and the level of drugs that they're bringing in across the board. A lot of times, I'm not saying they're all bringing drugs in. I'm only saying that we do know that they tend to have access to a large amounts of drugs that African American community can't have access to. So I've seen that, and I work with people now. I've heard things since I've been in the short times I was here. And so with that being said, I think it's the glorification that comes with the large amount of drugs, because keep in mind, this economy is 5 to 10 times bigger than New Orleans economy. So you can find a drug connect way faster here than you could in New Orleans. So they have crumbs out in New Orleans. Out here, you're talking about big figures. People that's really, really moving a lot of drugs. You look at some of the drug busts that they have, we're talking large amounts, and it's on a daily basis. So someone is bringing it in, someone has that connect. And if you're a young black male, you grew up being in such a way in the same vicinity of people that's bringing drugs in, so I can see how it may entice that person to want to sell drugs.
Exactly.
But like I said, in New Orleans, we sold drugs because of our necessity.
Amen. So, and we have some questions that we're going to answer. With that being said, tell us because I know you're real big on family. What do you think the family structure is more here in Houston versus New Orleans? Well, just in your humble opinion.
Keep in mind, New Orleans is likened to it's a very unique, small environment. I mean, you can actually travel the entire New Orleans in 30 minutes. You can't travel the entire Houston in 30 minutes.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
Yeah, it's that small. And so we all know each other, right? A lot of people have friends in different parts of the city, especially in the parts that you grew up in.
Right.
However, if you have that much violence, that much drug abuse in such a small, impactful area, compacted area, where would the fathers be? Where would the leaders of the homes be? And what would the home look like? What would the family structure look like if you remove the male role model?
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? The enforcer from the home, because every child needs an enforcer.
That's right.
And then you place the woman at the front of she's forced to take the lead. But what if she too have a drug abuse problem because of the environment? So when I go down there and visit, it sickens me. I love my hometown. I always love it. But it sickens me because, and they don't understand that they're trapped. If you in New Orleans and I know you tired of seeing a decay, because when I go back, I see that, you know, my soul hurts for those people. It hurts for my family that's still on. It hurt for the few, you know, childhood friends that's living down there.
Yeah.
My soul hurts, and I wish that I can, you know, do something about it. But, you know, and I'm trying to just bring awareness to it. And when I was down there, I was trying to do something about it, but people seem not to want to listen.
Yeah.
I started the RAP program, Remaining Active After Prison, to help with brothers coming home from prison, just to put some money.
We're gonna get to that.
Okay.
We're gonna get to that. But first we're gonna take a small commercial break, and we'll come back and talk about the RAP program. That was a wonderful thing that you did, and we mentioned it in the previous interview as well. And we just want to give a shout out to Shanna Ford, aka Malika. We also have Sean King says hi. Hello, Sean. Appreciate you for coming in. Sean also says, I know you want, and we'll answer this question when we come back from the commercial break, but Sean says, I know you want change in the Black community, but we need it to start in the home first. That's a good point, definitely. Sean King, and we're going to have Brother Mukmin to elaborate on that when we get back. First, we're going to take a short commercial break, and the rest of you guys come on in, like, share, and subscribe, and after this commercial break, we'll be right back to finish.
Do you need high-quality security for your home without expensive installation fees or high investment of $200 to $300 plus a monthly monitoring fee? Now you can with the Wi-Fi Camera Security Doorbell.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. So thank you again, Sean, for asking that question. And we're going to go ahead and have Brother Mukmin to elaborate on that comment that you made. And we also have Dango. Let me see. We have another. Let me see. Well, he came in here. We have Dango. Forgive me if I mispronounce your name. Fangish that just came in. Thank you for coming in. Like, share, and subscribe. So yeah, let's go ahead and have Brother Mukmin elaborate on the comment that you gave us, Sean.
Okay. So. Can you read the brother question again? Yes. To give Brother Dango a time to understand which way we're going?
Definitely. Okay, so Sean said, I know you want change in the Black community, but we need it to start in the home first.
Yeah. Definitely, brother. Change has to start in the home. That's the foundation. It has to start in the home. And you can't have a complete home without of some form of disciplinary. You can't have a home without some form of protection, and we know a woman can't offer that type of protection. You know, and protection of an intruder, outside intruders, protection of just discipline, keeping the kids in line, and the leadership that he provides, and then the direction to his entire family, especially the female.
Right.
All right. So change has to take place first in the home. And then from the home, we can go out into our greater community. Maybe we can start in our own family, our cousins, our brothers, our sisters,
right.
And we can try to, you know, implement some type of program within our own community and our own family, and then we can bring it to the greater community. All right. Yeah. So I think a lot of times brothers go on and and I used to be like that. I used to go out and protest a lot. You know, I'm one that put together one of the largest children movements in New Orleans a few years ago. And that was my responsibility to reach the youth. And I went all throughout canvas, the neighborhood on my own money. And then we had a brother that was a fight on the front line since the 60s. And he's still living. I'm not going to call his name. And this brother, was unbeknown to a lot of people, used to come to me under the table and say, look, brother, I need some help. Or I need a donation to help a family in another state or another city. And I will always give it to him. And I noticed, I've been to this brother's house and I saw how he was living. He was sacrificing everything for our people, and he was neglecting his own self. So Sean is right. Everything has to start in the home first. And from our home, we bring it to our extended family. And from our extended family, we go into the greater community. And Sean, that is exactly what I'm doing right now, brother. Thank you for that question. Very eye-opening.
Yes, definitely. I love that question and comment. If anyone else have a question, comment, please put it in chat, and Brother Mukmin will answer it or elaborate on it as well. So we're going to go into the RAP program now. What was the purpose and plan of the RAP program? And tell us how you were featured in the New Orleans Times
Pick a unit.
Pick a unit.
Mhm.
for your
Well,
program?
I don't know how someone they just contacted me for time picking unit one day. I was at work and my phone rang, and they say that they're looking for me and they heard about this wonderful program that I had. I had been doing it for a long time, but
Mhm.
keep in mind the program just had a different name.
Okay.
It was the same program, which was extended program
Mhm.
from prison.
Okay.
All right.
Mhm.
So it was rap on the street remaining active after prison. After prison,
After
that was the
prison.
highlight.
Okay.
And then in prison, it was the Bridge program.
Okay.
All right, or El Masoon,
Okay.
brothers remaining intact, displaying God's energy. That was Bridge.
Wow.
And
I
so
love it.
that was just an extension. So rap was an extension of
Okay.
the prison program. So when I got out, I seen where a lot of brothers was going back to prison. Brothers that I knew, I grew up with, brothers that I seen in prison that was now free. And I was watching the news and I'm hearing what the community say, it's the racism. They were blaming the recidivism, but nobody wasn't doing nothing about it. Especially when I came home and my family didn't help me. And I went into what I told you in our previous show. Well, my family, did what they did, and I had to pretty much struggle from the bottom and work my way up. But I've noticed there wasn't a program geared for guys like me who had good intent, changed their lives, and wanted to make something out of their life. So I started the rap program. And what the rap program was, I would take my own money and I would invest my money into electronics or clothes or whatever it was. And I would meet these guys, I get with their families or get with their friends. And they heard about my program, especially after the Time Picayune article, that this was a brother you can come home and depend on.
Okay.
And when they will contact me, sometimes these same brothers from prison, they'll call me some kind of way, three-way or by way of a smuggle phone.
Wow.
And they say, man, I get out Monday. Can you be there to help me? And I used to meet them either at their family house or at the bus station with a backpack on my back, willing to donate to this brother. And his job was just to go out, sell to his own family first, and then bring proceeds back to me, and he get a greater cut. And we recycle that over and over until he's able to get him a job in some good, get his foot established in society.
Man.
So can you say so when I asked you, brother, I used to ask him, I said, have anybody promised you a job? Have anybody promised you money when you get out? And the resounding answer used to be was no, I don't have nobody. Without you, there won't be aid.
Wow, that's beautiful. And I'm sure some of these young men had children.
Of course.
Yeah. So you did more. Yeah. You did more than what society did for them.
I tried.
Man.
I tried. And I would like to say the reason why the rap program is no more, one of the reasons is because our community didn't support me.
Wow.
I had more donations from the white community than I did from my own people.
Yeah. And
it was my people that I was after. I was trying to just, become a bone and try to give back to our community. Yeah. And one day I hope that I can get back to, doing that because it feels good when you're helping your people.
Definitely. I mean, it was yours. You created. You copyrighted, so nobody can pick it up. It'll be, you'll pick up the torch and keep right on with it when you get the means for it. So that was beautiful. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Another question is, do you have any regrets from being or leaving New Orleans?
I have no regrets from leaving New Orleans because once I left New Orleans, from the time I left New Orleans to now, it's been a gift for me. I've been elevating myself on all facets of my life. So in New Orleans, people have this negative connotation. They have negative energy. Wow. And being on drugs or being associated with that, not want to change the kalub, the inner man, the inner heart. And so I was running to a lot of people that had bad hearts. And it wasn't always their fault, because keep in mind, if you've never been away in life and you never had a moment like I did to reflect on your life for 11 years, stuck in a box, then you really don't know yourself. So when I meet people, a lot of times, if you never stop and had a time to reflect on God, reflect on where you need to be, and to motivate yourself to get up from where you used to be and to be a better productive person, no matter where they put you back, no matter if you go away from New Orleans, you come back to New Orleans, you're still gonna be that bird, that aspiring person. Then if you never stop to listen to yourself, then I suggest that you do. I suggest that we call that going underground, because that's the only way that you can come out as a new person.
Yeah.
And when you meet people, you always meet them with the better part of yourself and not the negative part. So I feel like when I was in New Orleans, I was getting the negative part of a lot of people. I don't care who it was, whether it was family, whether it was business people, whether it was jobs. They always presented the worst part to me first, and not knowing who I was inside. That I was no longer the old twin, the twin that roamed in the streets, the twin that did all the wrongdoing.
Yeah.
I was no longer like that. I wanted something different. So being away from New Orleans, I'm able to retrospect, go back into my cocoon, and bring out the beauty that I knew lied inside of myself. And I couldn't get that in New Orleans.
Wow, that's beautiful. It's almost like, as you was talking, I can envision like a big old dark cloud, gloomy cloud, like all this negative energy.
That's exactly what it was.
It's like,
and my brothers don't know. My brothers don't know what lies outside of New Orleans. They're so stuck in New Orleans with the food, and I get that. I miss the food, the culture, the Indians and stuff like that. But I had already stopped going to see the Indians, and I put on Facebook that until I see the Chiefs stoop down and pick up the trash that his followers put down, I'm gonna go back and start supporting them. Yeah. It's sickening, man. You don't see that out here. You don't see that around the country, man. People are decent. People want to keep their communities clean. And here we got people down there that don't care. They want somebody else to pick it up. And the regret was, the answer of the question should have been, do I regret some of the things that I did, the poor choices when I was growing up in New Orleans? And yes, there's something that I regret. One of my partners, well, he wasn't a partner of mine. I'm gonna say he was a childhood associate. Okay. And we fell out, right? And I was young. That's before I changed my life. Okay. And this guy tried to rob another group of people that was in my vicinity. I wasn't there at the time. But when I drove up, it had just went down, and they recognized him, and he ran away, right? But as soon as I pulled into the parking lot with my car, another guy pulled into the parking lot right next to me, and he was their big homie, right? My guy was trying to rob my friend, childhood friend. And so they told him, and he said, pop the trunk. And I already know what that means. So he had his gun in the trunk. All I had to do was tell him, look, man, I know the guy, don't do that, and I didn't do that. So I lived with that regret for the rest of my life, because this guy actually went around the corner, and within a few seconds, I heard the gunshots and he was dead. Wow. All because of some frivolous BS that we had, and so that's the regret that I live with in New Orleans. And, I just want to, the object of this video was to try to shed light on the negativity that go on in New Orleans. Yes. In the street life. And also to you so-called OGs, man, big dogs in New Orleans, big dogs anywhere, bro. When I was growing up and I was holding the block down, we talking about real blocks. We ain't talking about bull crap. We talking about if you came on our block and you tried to rob somebody while I was on the block, I didn't have to know him. If that was my association and we on the same block, I didn't have to know him. We wanted peace. You're not going to bring chaos on our block. You understand what I'm saying? And so I regret the fact not helping this guy, because all I had to do was speak one time, as a big dog on my block, and everywhere I went, but I didn't, and it cost him his life, and his mother is hurting, and I think, and I asked God to forgive me for that. Yeah. But we was all stupid. Yeah. We was all blind, deaf, dumb, and blind.
Wow. That's powerful, especially when you feel that you could have stopped someone's life from being taken, someone from being murdered. Well, ain't no could have. You had the power to stop someone's life. And it take a lot for you to, tell us that part of your story and
That's right.
admit to it, for you being wrong. So, like I said, you lived it, you saw it, and you saw it firsthand. The drugs, the violence, whether it was petty violence, big violence, petty crime, big crime, you saw it all, and was a part of it. And for you to be a changed man and to come over to, who you are now, and for people not to receive you, that's something, I wouldn't want to be around it either, because you know you better than anybody else know you.
That's right.
And the change you. And so that's the best way in life. And I have a channel as well, as and I speak to a lot to the ladies. And I always say that transformation, level up and change your mindset. And when you said that about the people in New Orleans, how they couldn't just, switch from that old or that negative energy, and they never wanted to, just see themselves do any better. So that was powerful.
Yeah.
That was powerful. All right. Well, do you have anything you want to leave? I
want to talk about, in reference to, get back to what Kentrell is trying to do. We know it's not going to work. Right. Anyone that's from the streets of New Orleans, anyone that's been down there and survived, living and living in the game, someone who have family member that survived dealing with the criminal justice system, we know that these are not the best so-called police officers that's being engaging or planning on engaging with our people.
Right.
To get to one bad guy, they're going to arrest 3 good guys. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or they're going to twist the same constitution that they sworn to uphold. So are you really contributing to the best of society? Or are you really, are you just as criminal as the guy you're supposed to be arrested? You feel what I'm at?
Yeah.
Because,
that's powerful.
Because in my advice to the brothers in the street, and my advice to anyone that is going to have to go through that when Kentrell put together their system and put together their task force, make sure you put cameras around your house. Make sure you turn cameras on anytime you see them riding throughout your neighborhood. Turn your phone on, because the only thing that's going to protect you, man. All right. Once they get you in court and they get you before a jury, the jury is actually going to believe the police officer. So before you don't want it to go that far. Protect yourself, protect your family by any means. And Kentrell, we don't need that. We don't need that. Our people need job opportunities. Our people need those. If you're going to lock them up, make sure you educate them. Yes. Make sure you give them a trade before you send them back to our community. Rehabilitation. That's right. Real rehabilitation. Yes. All right. Not no field. I was in the field. There was no need for a field. All right. Get these brothers educated by way of trades, as an electrician, tech field, you name it. Yes. So if you want to house them, try to at least as a leader, do good by them. We talking to James LeBlanc over the criminal justice system in Louisiana. Okay. I'm talking to you. All right. We talking to the governor. You find money for everything else, but you can't find money to educate these poor people. You educate the bottom of your society. That's right. So we don't want to exclude those people. Everybody is a part of society. All right. Anybody that's living and breathing, we hold them an obligation, especially from a leadership position. So I want to end with that.
All right. Well, that's beautiful as usual. I enjoyed the interview. It was a very powerful topic, very much needed for the Black community, very educational. And we want to thank all of our viewers for chiming in with us. All of the comments and questions was beautiful. Thank you so much for your interaction with the broadcast. And so we'll go ahead and leave out with the commercial, so somebody can go ahead and get their Wi-Fi camera. Thank you again for watching this time. We appreciate you. Much love. Until next time. Bye.
Do you need high-quality security for your home without expensive installation fees or high investment of $200 to $300 plus a monthly monitoring fee? Now you can with the Wi-Fi Camera Security Doorbell.